Welcome back to the channel, or if you're listening to us, welcome back to the podcast here for another episode. And this is another topic that I want to talk about since we're getting close to the end of the year. And I spoke about this, I guess it was 2 weeks ago as we entered into December. And here we are. When this episode comes out, it should be around the 21st of December. So Christmas is only 4 days away. But for the topic at hand, what we're talking about, more importantly for that, is that the end of the year is almost upon us, December 31st. And there are some end of year tax strategies to do. Now, today, I'm going to specifically just talk about one, and it relates to your traditional IRA. So if you have a traditional IRA, then you may want to pay attention to what we're talking about today. So who's this for? Of course, those that have a large traditional IRA balance. And if you have more room, and I'm going to describe this a bit as we go into it. If you have more room, we'll call it, inside a favorable tax bracket, then this is for you. Now, if you're listening to the podcast, you won't be able to see what I have on the screen here, but I've essentially got a chart that shows the federal income tax brackets. We, of course, in America, we have a progressive tax system, which means that the first dollars that you make are taxed at a lower rate, and then the next dollars that you make above a certain threshold are taxed at a higher rate, and so forth. So as you enter these new thresholds, each of those individual dollars that you earn within that higher threshold gets taxed at the higher rate, while the dollars that you earned that were in the lower threshold are taxed at the lower rate. So we call that a marginal tax rate because it's on the margin as you're progressing into a higher income. Now, for this example, what we're going to look at today when it comes to this strategy for traditional IRAs, and this is looking at Roth conversions and how to make sense, if it makes sense, and how to know when it makes sense to do a Roth conversion. We're going to use an example of a married couple that files jointly. So if you're married, you probably file jointly because unless there's some other reason not to. Married filing single, you miss out on a lot of tax benefits. So if you're married, you're probably going to file jointly. And what that means is, for this example here, we're going to use a couple that's in the 12% tax bracket. So this means that their first, and we're using 2023 numbers on this for where the tax brackets fall, but their first $22,000 of taxable income is taxed at 10%, but those dollars above that threshold, all the way up until $89,450, will be taxed at 12%. Now, one thing to keep in mind here, that these numbers, when you're looking at tax bracket numbers, they're not talking about your total income that's come in, but they're talking about the income that remains after you reduce it by a standard deduction. So as you know, we get standard deductions, or you can itemize deductions as well. For a married filing jointly couple, they have a standard deduction of $27,700 in the year 2023. So what that means is that, let's say they make $90,000. That's what their W-2 shows for the whole year for the couple. Before they start determining what the tax is that they're going to pay, they're able to reduce that $90,000 by the standard deduction of $27,700. And if they're in a situation where it makes sense for them to itemize their deductions, in other words, they have deductions that they could claim that would be greater than what the standard deduction is, then they can do that instead. It's a form called Schedule A. It goes with your tax return. Now, most people are not going to do that nowadays because the standard deduction has become so high with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that you're actually better off just taking the standard deduction. But once you do take that deduction, that's where the marginal tax bracket rates come into play. So the numbers that you see when you're looking at these charts is saying, like, what is remaining of your income after you took that deduction, and then from that determine where you fall in the tax bracket. Now, for this couple, they're in the 12% bracket is what we're looking at for this example, which means their first $22,000 of income, they paid a 10% tax on that, which would add up to $2,200, right? But those next dollars fall in the 12% bracket. So let's say they are considering doing a Roth conversion, and let's say they have $60,000 is what they've come up with as their taxable income, which means they're in the 12% bracket, but they still have room within that bracket. So earlier I said, do you have room in the bracket that you're in? Well, if you're at 60,000, that means you've got another almost 30,000 before you enter into the next highest bracket. So they have room within that bracket if they've added up their numbers correctly before year end, because all of this assumes that you're adding these numbers up for what your income was throughout the year before the year is over. So you haven't gotten your W-2 or anything like that yet to file your taxes. You're just kind of having to keep track of this. All right. Well, let's say they kept track and they find out, well, we could do 20,000 in a Roth conversion and still be in our 12% tax bracket, which is a pretty favorable tax bracket. And they could just claim that as income, pay the tax on it, and roll that money into a Roth IRA, which would forever from that point forward, if they follow the rules, would be tax-free money, no matter what it grows to. Okay, that's always a good thing, right? So here's how the math would work out on that. If they convert 20,000 to a Roth IRA, they have to claim that as income. And if they're in the 12% bracket, and they've still got room in that bracket, and it's not going to push into the 22% bracket, they would pay 12% tax on that. That's $2,400 on that conversion. Now they could either withhold that from the conversion and allow the remainder of it, 17,600, to go into the Roth IRA, or even better, if they have an account outside of this that they could just use that to pay the tax on, $2,400, then they could max out the full 20,000 go into their Roth IRA account. At that point, when you're in your Roth IRA, as long as you follow the rules, and there are some rules that we won't go into in this episode, but as long as you follow those rules, those funds in the Roth IRA will be tax-free because you've already paid the tax on them. But the good thing is that whatever those funds grow to, you're not going to have to pay capital gains tax on them. You're not going to have to pay tax on dividends that are paid to you, or any interest income that the Roth IRA account earns. It's all going to grow tax-free and accrue to you tax-free. So that would be how the math works out on this. So the big question would be, well, why would you do this? Like, isn't it always better to delay paying the tax as long as possible? Well, maybe it is, maybe it's not. One of the reasons you might want to do this is if you think the tax rates are going to go up in the future. And if they go up, eventually you're going to pull money from your traditional IRA. And when you do that, you're going to claim it as income, and you're going to pay taxes at whatever the tax rate is in the future that when you pull the money out. So if you think rates are going to go up, maybe you're looking at things like the federal debt, or you're looking at things like the number of people that are having to use federal programs like Social Security and Medicare, and you're looking at the deficit every year. And you may be thinking, well, they're going to have to pay for this some way. It's only so long that they can keep growing the federal debt until they have to start not running the deficit. And the one way they'd probably do that would be through raising taxes. So if you're looking at and thinking that way, you might think, well, let me go ahead and take advantage of the lower tax rates now, because I think they're going to be higher in the future. Or maybe you're looking and you see that in 2025, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, the favorable tax rates from it expire, and they're going to go up a little bit. And you're like, well, let me take advantage now of the lower rates. So that might be one reason you would want to do this. Another one is if your future required minimum distributions from your traditional IRA are going to cause a tax hit for you in the future. So when you turn 73, your traditional IRA, you have to start pulling money from that. The IRS requires you to do that. If you don't do it, they're going to penalize you, and they're going to put a penalty that you're going to have to pay for the funds that you didn't pull out. And if you're looking at your tax situation and you see that these RMDs that you're going to take when you get to age 73 are going to cause other areas of your income sources to be taxed at a higher rate, or the RMDs are going to push you into that higher marginal tax bracket beyond that 12 to the 22% and beyond potentially, then you might want to be looking at right now doing some conversions in order to reduce the traditional IRA balance by increasing your Roth IRA balance, by just rolling it from one to the other and paying the tax as you go, so that when you turn 73 and the IRS is making you take distributions from your traditional IRA, that traditional IRA itself has a lower balance because you've moved the funds to the Roth, but that has a lower balance. And then your RMDs at that point would not be as high. Maybe they wouldn't even kick you into a higher tax bracket at that point. That might be another reason you'd want to do this. One thing, though, you do need to watch out for if you're planning on doing a strategy like this without any help from a tax planning expert or anything, is you want to watch out for the other tax implications that this may have on your situation. For example, there are certain thresholds that if your income exceeds certain amounts, that can cause you to start having to pay more for your Medicare premiums on your Medicare Part B and Part D. There's also certain thresholds that you can hit that may cause what was previously your Social Security benefit that's coming into you. You may not have had to claim any of it as income to pay tax on, but doing some of these strategies, if you don't run the numbers and look at it, know what you're getting into, might start causing some of your Social Security income to be subject to tax, where you have to start claiming it as income on your tax return and then paying taxes on it that you might otherwise not would have had to do. So there's these other things that can happen in the tax code if you don't take everything into consideration before you do this type of stuff. So some of the key takeaways from this is, first, you need to determine if it makes sense to convert any of your funds to a Roth IRA. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. It may make the most sense just to keep the tax deferral going in your traditional IRA, or maybe it makes sense to do conversion. Maybe you had a year where your income went down a lot. Maybe you're in between jobs or something like that, and suddenly you're in a better tax bracket than you used to be, and now you see this opportunity to convert at a much lower tax rate. So first, that's the first step. The next one is, before you do this, calculate the total cost in tax of doing it, because you may want to go ahead and pay that tax right away, as opposed to waiting until you're filing your tax return, even all the way up to April of next year. So you want to know what this is going to cost you to do this, and also understand how does it impact your taxes on your Social Security income. That would be a big one. But even those other factors, like your Medicare premium, your Part B premium, what's it going to do to that if you reach certain income thresholds? Are you going to have to pay more for your monthly premium to a Medicare Part D prescription drug plan because you did this action? You want to make sure you know what you're getting into before you do that. And if this is kind of like overwhelming, if it's over your head, or you're worried that you'll make a mistake with that, then I would highly encourage that you talk with a tax planning expert to help you with this calculation before you just jump into it and potentially make a mistake, unless you just really know that IRS code back and forth, and you've been tracking and know how much taxable income you have brought in so far this year, because this is something you would do before year end. So you haven't got like your W-2 and all that kind of stuff, or any other 1099s or things like that you'll take to your accountant in the new year, before April. You have to kind of track this as you go along during the year when you're doing this. Well, taxes are just one aspect of your retirement plan, a very important one at that, I must say. But if you do need additional help planning for your retirement, feel free to head on over to my website, retirementplanningmadeeasy.com, and download a free copy of our essential step-by-step retirement guide. We'll get that emailed out to you right away once you sign up for that, and we'll stay in touch with you on our email list. So if you need to reach out to me for anything as well in the future, you'll have my contact info for that from that as well. That's all I got for you guys for today. Hope you guys have a Merry Christmas coming up if you celebrate Christmas like I do, and a Happy New Year.